Greetings, fellow YouTubers. I'm Christopher Galosi of Galosi Enterprises LLC, and today, sticking with our off-grid cooking series, we're going to do a homemade tomato sauce, Italian style. This is not going to be your thick one. This is going to be a thin, more of a summer one that I grew up with as a kid. Your ingredients: tomatoes, basic garlic, and an onion, a little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper. It's going to be very basic. Right now we're going to use these tomatoes. Now we've already washed them. These came from my buddy's Bobby Cottrell's garden as well as my garden. We basically shared the tomatoes. There's a mixture of heirlooms here, all kinds. I used this, what I like to call the blemish, or the blemishes, because they don't look that pretty. And if you like to get a very good very good haircut, go to Bobby's Old Time Barbershop. It is located on Chesapeake Boulevard before you hit Bayview. Can't miss it. It's the only barbershop. When you're heading into Norfolk, it'll be on your right. If you're heading to Ocean View on Chesapeake Boulevard, it'll be on your left. Alright, now let's get started. Now, as you can see, we've put the tomatoes in. We're going to use water. Just pour it right in. Now, the goal here is to fill it up at least 3/4 of the way, so we got that. Now we're going to light our camp stove. Once again, always safety protection. Alright, now that we're coming up to a boil, our tomatoes are still hard. What you want to do is you want to have them like a stew kind of tomato. So they're going to be like really nice and soft and gooey. It's going to be a little bit longer, obviously. It's no worries here. As you can see, they're starting to split and peel. And that's what we're looking for. So we have probably a good another, maybe, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes, give or take some. Remember, this is all guesswork. Just kind of go with the flow, so to speak. Oh, here's one. She just popped. Good. And with that, we're going to just wait a little bit, keep it boiling. Remember, you don't want to have as too much of a boil, but a decent kind of semi-rolling, kind of like what you're seeing here now. It's been about 30 minutes. And as you can tell, our tomatoes are nice and soft. They're definitely splitting. So with that being said, we're going to just put our food mill on standby, and we're going to pull out our Dutch oven. From there, we're going to light our other stove, and we're going to put a little bit of oil on it. I prefer olive oil. You don't have to have much, just enough. Just a couple scoops. Now, quickie with the onions. Now I'm going to try out a white onion here. Easiest way to do it, just cut it. Like this, and just do a quick peel. Now we're going to use about half this onion. Now one of the special ones, they call it the claw. So when you're chopping, you can come down like that, and that way you don't hit your fingers. So we're going to go one, take a couple slices here. And we got that little guy. Now, I like doing my onions nice and thin, or as thin as humanly possible, and then cut over. Check our oil. Our pot's getting nice and warm. So use the flat of the blade here. drop it in. And we're going to wait for that to heat up a little bit. While we're waiting, we got our freshly washed basil. Now remember, fresh basil is less potent than dehydrated because, let's face it, dehydrated is just that it's all nice and concentrated or dried. And just chop them up. This is where a good sharp knife comes in handy. Put that in there. Now remember, this is all guesswork. It's all suit to taste. I've been cooking this since I was a kid. Now we're going to use the garlic. This came out of the garden. Now what's nice about garlic is that it's really easy to work with. All you gotta do is get it, flat knife, hit it, and it's going to just come apart, like we're doing right now. And look at that. Is that a nice bulb or what? I'm going to just take the end off here. I want to have it nice big chunks. Smell that. As you see, we have a nice little coating on this. Stir it up. It's going to be translucent. I wish you guys could be here to smell it. Now you want to keep stirring it a little bit, and that's just because you don't want anything to really burn. You just want to get a nice, like, oily covering. That way you'll get the flavor in there. And use a decent thing of olive oil. Like I said, this is going to be our summer one. Let me kind of smooth that out a little bit more. Now, since the cast iron is going to hold the heat, I'm going to shut this off and lower this guy. Actually, I'm going to just shut it off too. Now we go to our food mill. This guy hooks up just like this. That's why you have these two little feet here. Now this is very simple. Just take it, feed it a couple tomatoes in here. And turn. Now you're going to see all these nice juices. You have to come around a little bit. A little push in there. And sometimes when it doesn't want to cooperate, once again, you just kind of have to help it along. Now this one was actually given to me by my mother, and she's used this guy for years. Now I'm going to load it up a little bit more here. Just keep mashing these guys. Now this is time consuming, but I will tell you this, it's definitely well worth it just to do this, because you're going to get this fantastic sauce. Now this is not going to be a very thick sauce because we're doing it the way they do it over in the old country, with a thin type of broth, or a thin sauce I should say, excuse me, and we're going to let it cook down and everything. So I'm going to continue to do this. Now once it gets a little bit full in the bowl here, or in the Dutch oven, I'm going to turn it back on, and then we're going to just let it simmer. Alright, now that we're using our food mill, sometimes you're going to have to use a spoon to hold this down, like this, and that's where your buddy will come into play to give you that little helpful hand. And when it's all done, you wind up with a little bit of a mesh, like so. Now this is great for compost, obviously, so throw it right there in your composter, and you're good to go. And as you can see, it caught all the seeds, the cores, whatever you want to call them, like here's a real tough core, and the skins, everything that you don't want to eat, or that's just stringy. Now what's also nice about this is that you could get your tomato that is just like your heirlooms and let it rot, literally just put it in a bowl, let them rot, and then use your food mill to process them. From there, once you get to this stage, you put them in a bowl and you just start sifting it through, and then you start straining them more and more, and that's just an easier way to get your tomato seeds. Since we cooked these, obviously they're no good. But now what we're going to do is we're going to fire up our stove, set it on low heat, and just wait. And remember, always stir.